Hey guys, how's it going? Big Woody here. So, been playing a bit of Stellaris lately, and at the same time, while I've had some time off from Stellaris, I've been putting together my Space Marine army. I was lying in bed last night and thinking, there's been some changes since Utopia has come out, and I thought I would basically just show you guys how I would go about creating the Imperium of Man from Warhammer 40,000 in vanilla Stellaris. So this is without mods, this is basically something if you want to just hop in a game and try and emulate the God Emperor. This is how I'd go about doing it. So I've just grabbed the United Nations of Earth. They're basically the first option on here. And if you're not, up to date, if you don't know the world of Warhammer 40,000, it's one of unending war. The tagline is, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war. And the Imperium of Man is the surviving empire created by the near-dead God Emperor. Decayed after 10,000 years of undeath, he fights a constant battle to protect humanity from the horrors of space, and as a result is worshipped as a god by his followers. When the Emperor set out on his great crusade to unite the lost worlds of humanity, he envisioned an empire governed by reason, populated and ruled by man. There could be no aliens in this new future. However, after the cataclysmic Horus heresy plunged the Imperium into darkness, it arose as something quite different to what he had intended. Beset from all sides by traitors, demons and Xenos, the Imperium of Man was transformed forever. We've got the United Nations of Earth here, let's make it into the Imperium of Man. So we're going to hop in, start off appearance, this is fine. Next, looking at names, let's go with Humanoid 4. There's an interesting mix there, which you find in the world of Warhammer 40,000. So we've got names from all over the world. Planet names are fairly classical, so we've got Hesperides, Solaria, Nova Constantinople. This is going to work quite well for us. Click on next. Now, racial traits, I've kept this for the moment the same. We're going to stick with quick learners and nomadic. Now, in the world of 40,000, humanity has been spread across the stars for tens of thousands of years, and there has been a lot of genetic diversity. But since we're playing vanilla Stellaris, I'm just going to go with a baseline humanity, so we're going to stick with quick learners and nomadic. For the leader, I suppose, really this is totally up to you, whatever you fancy it looking like. For a bit of flavour, I'm going to go for a fairly gothic look. That's going to be fine. In terms of names, let's just be Malkador from the Warhammer 40,000 universe. And the problem we've got here is that in the Imperium of Man, the Emperor rules, but it's the Adeptus Terra, which is basically a department of government that was set up after the Emperor was mortally wounded and placed in the Golden Throne. They're the government body. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go with Governor for now, which is a sort of simple catch-all. Usually governors are obviously out in the provinces, but Malkador, the Sigillite, doesn't really have an easy title that we can just slot in. We're just going to switch to Terra. Everything else can stay the same. That's pretty easy. Mammalian City, unfortunately, this is the real option we've got. There's Mammalian here. The Ethics Authority Civics area. This is what's really going to change. So the United Nations of Earth is fanatic, egalitarian, and xenophile, which is nothing near what we want. So we're just going to take those. Going to take this straight off, and this has unlocked all the authority options. We want to go straight to Imperial, and let's grab ethics. So unfortunately we can only pick 3, and there's 2 shades to the Imperium of Man. You can go pre-heresy or post-heresy. Pre-heresy and post-heresy, the main differences are pre-heresy is materialist. The Crusade of Man was bringing what was called the Imperial Truth to all of humanity, which was essentially casting down religion and replacing it with the acceptance of scientific truth about all things. That did not last, however, after the Horus heresy. After the Horus heresy, various truths about the universe came out. The role of the Emperor changed into one that was almost totally divine, and the Empire went pretty much full spiritual. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to do pre-Horus Heresy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do classic 40k. So Spiritualist is definitely one we want to have. The Empire is definitely authoritarian. It's not xenophile at all. It's not a pacifist. It's not materialist, not egalitarian. It is xenophobic. However, it's also militarist. So really, you've got to make the choice here. Militarist will unlock full orbital bombardment. Now, if you know the Warhammer 40,000 universe, Exterminatus, the complete destruction of a planet, is something that occurs fairly often. However, in gameplay-wise for Stellaris, full orbital bombardment and sort of normal bombardment, it's not a game breaker. I personally think to really get the sense of the Imperium of Man, you want to go with Xenophobe. Xenophobe, authoritarian, spiritualist are definite choices. What you can also do is you could take off authoritarian and put it into sort of fanatic xenophobe, which would be particularly useful in pushing up the border range that the Empire gets. What this will basically do is it will drop all of your relationships with Xenos, which will push you towards war, which is what really you need to be doing. If you're the Imperium of Man, you need to be out there destroying everyone else. You want to make sure that man is dominant in the galaxy. But there we go. I'm going to go for a mid-range here. So we've got Xenophobe, Spiritualist, Authoritarian. For our civics, we are definitely taking Imperial Cult. The worship of the Emperor is the religion of the Imperium. We're taking that. The other ones here, so I mean we can go through them. Philosopher King is maybe a possible. You can sort of see it as the Emperor is in a way a Philosopher King. He's been alive for an incredibly long time. He definitely has the wisdom and the knowledge and the psychic power to steer the Empire. There's also the police state, which is something that can represent the Inquisition, which is definitely useful. It's also useful in that it will just drop your unrest, which is always a bonus. Environmentalist, no, nothing to do with that. Slaver guilds, not really. Cutthroat politics, yes, that's definitely a possible. Mining guilds, there's a bit of that. Efficient bureaucracy, not really. There is a huge bureaucracy in the world of Warhammer 40,000. I mean, it has to deal with a galactic empire. I wouldn't have said it's efficient, though. It's very, very overworked. Functional architecture, no. Aristocratic elite, not really. Syncretic evolution, no. I'm going to go with police state personally because I just like to think that's the Inquisition. We've got the Imperial Cult and the Inquisition is here rooting out heresy. So we've got our Imperium name. This is pretty easy to do, obviously. We're going with the Imperium of Man, and we will also, let's just go with man as the, now we'll need human for adjective. And now, I personally think there's two main choices here. We can either go with the double-headed eagle, which is the sort of symbol of the Emperor, with the two heads of the eagle, one looking into the past, the other looking into the future. It's not the exact shape, but it's the double-headed eagle. Or there's this symbol, which which is basically the Crux Terminatus. So it's down to your preference. I'm going to take black and the double-headed eagle. Starting weapons, you want projectile weapons, definitely. Missile weapons are just not, in terms of the Imperial Navy, not as prevalent as projectile weapons. Neither are energy weapons. So you've got lances and things like that on a lot of the ships. But your bread and butter is projectile weapons. Now, FTL travel method, I was having to think about this. Really, it's a choice between warp travel and wormhole travel. Unfortunately, Stellaris doesn't have a mechanism for the warp as it appears in Warhammer 40,000. But you could be thinking maybe wormhole travel might be close, but you need to build wormhole generators for that to work, and wormhole stations, which doesn't really fit. The closest really is just general warp travel. We have warp drive, which generates subspace bubble, so your ships warp in and out of subspace. That's the closest to it, unfortunately. And ship appearance, again, it's going to be mammalian, unfortunately. Again, this is just a vanilla thing. There is a Warhammer 40,000 mod out there. There are Warhammer 40,000 ship mods. Unfortunately, you only get 6 choices in vanilla Stellaris, and none of them are really super close to the beautiful Gothic ships you find in Warhammer 40,000. On the one hand, avian ships are quite close to the Eldar ships. But there we go. That's basically the Imperium of Man. as seen in Warhammer 40,000, but put into vanilla Stellaris. So it's quick and dirty, but if you're itching for a bit of, you know, building your own Imperium of Man, this is how to do it. We're a divine empire, we're imperial, we have the imperial cult, police state, so this is the God Emperor and the Inquisition. It's authoritarian. We know that to rule such a huge empire and to maintain its unity, it has to be authoritarian in the face of so many threats inside and out. Xenophobe, the Empire is the Imperium is incredibly xenophobic. And spiritualist, this is really so we can get things like the Imperial cult. They are now spiritualists. This is purely the belief in the God Emperor, that he guides and protects humanity against the horrors of space and the warp. But also, as a bonus, it means we can research psionic technologies, which brings us one step closer to psychers, even if they are verging on heresy. So there we go, guys. I hope you found this useful, and it's really just a quick and dirty video for you to play along with. I hope you enjoyed again, and I will see you next time.